Viewer discretion is advised. This series covers real events involving violence, crime and strong language that some viewers may find distressing. The content is intended for mature audiences. Please proceed with caution. Welcome to London's Dark Archives, or welcome back if you're returning. In this episode, we'll examine the dramatic decline of the infamous Kray twins. We'll explore the twists and turns that ultimately led to their notorious trial. Join us as we uncover the details of their criminal reign and the consequences that ultimately resulted in their imprisonment. The 1960s in London was a time of contrasts. While the city thrived as the cultural epicentre of the swinging 60s, the East End remained dominated by poverty and crime. Here, Ronnie and Reggie Kray emerged as icons of both glamour and terror, ruling the area with an iron grip. Known as the Firm, their criminal empire engaged in extortion, robbery, protection rackets and murder, often with a veneer of respectability. The twins' reign came crashing down in 1968 thanks to the relentless efforts of Detective Chief Superintendent Leonard "Nipper" Reid. This expanded account delves into the details of Reid's history, his investigation, the trial, the key witnesses and the sentences that ended the Krays' dominance. It also explores how the case reshaped British policing, the legal system and organised crime. Leonard Ernest Reid was born on the 31st of March 1925 in the city of Nottingham, into a family steeped in the traditions of strict Methodism. His early years were shadowed by heartbreak. At the tender age of 4, he faced the devastating loss of his mother, an event that shook the very foundations of his young life. This tragedy was compounded by his father's struggles to cope, which ultimately led to the fragmentation of their family. Yet amidst this upheaval, Reid exhibited remarkable resilience. He thrived in his studies, showcasing an intellectual vigour that belied his difficult circumstances. While simultaneously cultivating a fierce passion for boxing, his diminutive stature earned him the affectionate nickname Nipper. But those who witnessed him in the ring knew of his legendary tenacity and determination. During the tumultuous years of World War II, Reid served bravely as a petty officer in the Royal Navy, where he navigated the perilous waters of the North Atlantic. The harrowing experiences he encountered during combat not only forged his character, but also sharpened his discipline and observational acumen, qualities that would later define his illustrious career in the Metropolitan Police, which he proudly joined in 1947. Reid's ascent through the police ranks was nothing short of meteoric. By the 1950s, he'd established himself as a detective of exceptional integrity and thoroughness, earning accolades for his unyielding commitment to justice. His meticulous, detail-orientated approach, coupled with an unwavering moral compass, quickly distinguished him in the field. By the early 1960s, he'd earned a coveted position on the murder squad, where his tenacity proved invaluable in cracking several high-profile cases. This skillful blend of intellect and bravery ultimately led to his selection for the daunting task of confronting the notorious Kray twins, a perilous assignment that left many officers hesitant and intimidated. In 1964, the leadership of Scotland Yard recognised the pressing need for a thorough investigation into the Kray family. These enigmatic figures wielded considerable influence that stretched well beyond the gritty streets of East London. They were often spotted at glamorous society events, effortlessly mingling with influential politicians and celebrated celebrities. Their fair reputation allowed them to employ ruthless intimidation tactics, silencing any dissent within their community. Meanwhile, whispers of police corruption not only impeded justice, but also complicated the already challenging efforts to build a solid case against their criminal empire. Nipper Reid meticulously assembled a highly specialised 10-man squad comprised of trusted officers hailing from various divisions of the police force. Each member was carefully selected not only for their exceptional skills in investigation and enforcement, but also for their unwavering loyalty to the cause. Operating out of the discreet City Road police station, this elite team engaged in clandestine operations, ensuring that their movements and plans remained under the radar. This was crucial to avoid any potential awareness from notorious Kray twins or an extensive network of informants who would eagerly seek to undermine their efforts. The officers worked with precision and secrecy, employing strategic tactics to dismantle the criminal enterprise without drawing attention to their activities. One of the most effective strategies employed by Reed was his remarkable talent for seamlessly integrating into the vibrant tapestry of the East End community. Disguised as an humble labourer, he often found himself meandering through the streets, eventually retreating into the warmth of local pubs like the Grave Maurice. These pubs, filled with laughter, the clinking of glasses and the rich scent of beer, provided a perfect setting for him to quietly observe the notorious Kray twins and their firm. His meticulous approach paid off when Reed discreetly witnessed a meeting between the infamous Ronnie Kray and the sharp-eyed journalist Michael Barat, a moment that would prove pivotal in his ongoing surveillance of the underworld activities that permeated the lively neighbourhood. The Krays' influence and strength were deeply rooted in their management of the firm, an exclusive circle of devoted associates who ensured loyalty and secrecy within their operations. This network played a crucial role in solidifying the Krays' dominance in the London underworld. However, a significant turning point occurred when Albert Donoghue, an high-ranking member of the firm known for his close ties to the Krays, made the startling decision to become an informant. His betrayal not only exposed the inner workings of the organisation, but also marked a dramatic shift in the power dynamics of the East End criminal landscape. Donoghue found himself deeply enmeshed in the criminal activities of the Krays, having intimate knowledge of a number of their heinous acts, most notably the brutal murder of Jack the Ape McVitie. This particular incident showcased the violent ramifications of betrayal within their circle. When the Krays, seeking a way to deflect blame away from themselves, attempted to frame Donoghue for the disappearance of Frank Mitchell, it became clear to him that his safety was in jeopardy. Recognising the perilous position he was in, he made the fatal decision to seek protection from law enforcement. Donoghue's subsequent testimony was a damning indictment of the firm's inner workings, illuminating not only the cold-blooded nature of the Krays, but also the widespread culture of fear and enforced loyalty that pervaded their organisation. Donoghue's revelations painted a stark picture of an environment where silence was built and maintained through intimidation, creating a web of complicity along those involved. Through his courage in speaking out, he exposed the darkness that lay at the heart of their criminal enterprise, contributing significantly to the eventual downfall of the Krays. One of the most crucial witnesses in the case was Ronnie Hart, a cousin of the Kray brothers and Charlie. Hart had witnessed the harrowing events surrounding the murder at McVitie firsthand and provided essential support for Donoghue's detailed account of that fateful night. His choice to come forward and testify stemmed from a deep-seated fear of the twins' volatile and often violent behaviour. Hart knew that their unpredictable nature could pose a significant threat not only to him but also to those close to him, which weighed heavily on his conscience as he decided to share his testimony with the authorities. Numerous associates of the firm, particularly the Lambrianou brothers, Bobby Till and Freddie Foreman, found themselves entangled in the criminal activities orchestrated by the Krays. Tony Lambrianou, known for his close ties to the twins, played a significant role in their operations, while Bobby Till and Freddie Foreman contributed to various illicit endeavours alongside them. In the years that followed, both Lambrianou and Foreman took to writing memoirs wherein they vividly recounted their personal experiences, roles and the complex dynamics of their interactions with the Krays, offering readers an inside look at the underworld dealings of that era. The highly publicised trial of the Krays commenced on the 8th of January 1969 at the Old Bailey in London, a venue renowned for its historical significance in the British judicial system. This trial, which spanned more than 2 months, captivated the nation and attracted extensive media coverage, turning it into a sensational event in criminal history. Presided over by the esteemed Justice Melford Stevenson, the proceedings were marked by dramatic revelations and testimonies that exposed the twins' ruthless reign over organised crime in East London. The trial not only highlighted the complex nature of the criminal law, but also represented a pivotal moment in the evolution of British criminal justice, as it underscored the increasing challenges law enforcement faced in combating violent crime. The outcome of the trial would resonate in the public consciousness for years to come, further solidifying the Krays' notoriety. The Crown's case focused on 3 murders: George Cornell, Jack McVitie and Frank Mitchell. Prosecutor Robert S. Blundell presented a compelling narrative supported by witness testimonies and forensic evidence. George Cornell, shot by Ronnie Kray in the Blind Beggar pub, 1966. Cornell was a rival gang member. Witnesses described Ronnie calmly entering the pub, pulling out an handgun and shooting Cornell in the head. Jack McVitie, lured to a flat in Stoke Newington. McVitie was brutally stabbed to death by Reggie Kray after a failed assassination attempt. Witnesses recounted how the twins had grown increasingly paranoid and violent by this point. Frank Mitchell. Although the twins were not directly charged with Mitchell's murder, the prosecution used his disappearance to highlight their ruthlessness. The defence team, representing the Kray twins, aimed to challenge the credibility of the witnesses testifying against them. They contended that these individuals were themselves involved in criminal activities and were likely motivated to provide false testimony in exchange for more lenient sentences in their own cases. Despite these efforts to discredit the witnesses, the overwhelming volume of evidence presented during the trial rendered this strategy ineffective and futile. The prosecution's case was bolstered by a plethora of corroborating testimonies and physical evidence, making it increasingly difficult for the defence to sway the jury's opinion based solely on allegations of witness dishonesty. Charlie Kray, the older brother of the notorious twins, found himself in the shadow of the court scrutiny alongside them. While he was not known for the same level of brutality as his younger siblings, Charlie was deeply enmeshed in their criminal operations. Using his sharp business acumen to facilitate their financial undertakings, his influence, though less overtly violent, was crucial to the twins' dealing in the underworld. Ultimately, the jury found him guilty of aiding and abetting their illicit enterprises, leading to a sentence of 10 years behind bars, where he would reflect the choices that led him down such a treacherous path. On the 4th of March 1969, after a lengthy and highly publicised trial, the jury reached its verdict. Guilty on multiple counts. Ronnie and Reggie Kray, notorious figures of the London underworld and leaders of the feared criminal gang The Firm, were convicted of murder and subsequently sentenced to life imprisonment. The sentencing dictated a minimum of 30 years, effectively sealing their fate behind bars. During the sentencing, Justice Stevenson delivered a poignant statement, asserting, "In my view, society has earned a rest from your activities," highlighting the widespread impact of the Krays' brutal reign of terror throughout the 1960s. The Kray brothers had long been involved in organised crime, including extortion, armed robbery and violence, enjoying a level of notoriety that made them both feared and infamous. In addition to the twins and their brother Charlie, several other members of the firm received lengthy prison sentences that reflected the unravelling of the Kray empire. This moment marked a significant turning point in London's criminal landscape, signalling the decline of the Krays' once mighty influence and the beginning of the end for their criminal operations. The verdict served as a crucial moment in the history of organised crime in Britain, underscoring the legal system's resolve to confront and dismantle such powerful criminal networks. The conviction of the Kray twins marked a significant turning point in public perception of the so-called untouchable gangster. For years, Ronald and Reginald Kray had operated with a level of audacity and brutality that made them seem invincible, ruling over London's criminal underworld with fear and intimidation. However, their arrest and subsequent conviction exposed the vulnerabilities of organised crime figures, proving that even the most notorious criminals could fall from grace. This pivotal moment not only shattered the myths surrounding their power, but also sent shockwaves through law enforcement. Emboldened by the Krays' downfall, police and prosecutors intensified their efforts to dismantle other criminal organisations that had previously evaded justice. As a result, there was a notable decline in traditional racketeering activities across the East End, as law enforcement began to crack down on extortion, illegal gambling and other illicit enterprises that had flourished under the Krays' reign. This shift marked the beginning of a more aggressive fight against organised crime, fundamentally altering the landscape of criminal operations in London and contributing to a broader cultural change in how society viewed gangsterism and criminality. The case also revealed extensive corruption that permeated the ranks of the Metropolitan Police, leading to a significant public outcry and the urgent need for reform. This situation prompted a series of changes designed to foster greater transparency and accountability within the police force. In this context, Ree's determination and rigorous investigative methods set a new standard for how future inquiries should be conducted, establishing a framework that prioritises integrity and ethical conduct in law enforcement. His approach not only addressed the immediate issues, but also served as a guiding example for subsequent investigations into police misconduct. The Kray trial heralded a significant turning point in public consciousness, marking the conclusion of an era steeped in glamorising gang culture. As the courtroom drama unfolded, the fascination that once enveloped the notorious twins began to shift towards a renewed emphasis on justice and social reform. The stories of their rise and fall inspired a myriad of films, books and documentaries that not only enthrall audiences but also serve as a poignant reminder of the dangers of unrestrained power. These narratives capture the allure and excitement of the infamous Krays, while simultaneously imparting a valuable lesson about the morality and the potential consequences of a life entwined with crime. As we conclude this chapter of the Kray twins story, we've delved deep into the downfall of one of the most infamous criminal empires in British history. From their early rise to power, the formation of the firm and their reign of terror in East London, we've followed the Kray twins through their final days of freedom. However, the tale of Ronnie and Reggie Kray is far from over. Their trial and imprisonment may have marked the end of their empire on the outside, but as we've seen time and again, the Krays were not easily defeated. In our next and final episode of this chapter, we will explore the lives behind bars. Despite being incarcerated, the twins continued to wield significant influence, running their criminal operations from prison, manipulating events from afar, and maintaining a fearsome reputation. We'll examine their later years, how their criminal activities evolved, their interactions with fellow inmates, and their continued stranglehold on London's underworld. And ultimately, we'll cover their final days, reflecting on the lasting impact they left on the city and its criminal landscape. So join us in the next episode as we unravel the final chapter of the Kray twins' storied lives, because the end of their freedom was not the end of their legend. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, comment and subscribe. These things really help small channels like mine. If you didn't enjoy it, please tell me why. I read all comments and I reply to everyone.